Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I will discuss what my ideal Assassin's Creed game would be like. Now, to make sure that this video is not an hour long, I would be making this into a 3-part series. So in today's part I will be tackling world and parkour. Parkour is basically our mean to traverse the world, so I'm including it in here as well. Now before I get into the video, if you like the video, press the like button and subscribe for more content to come. I'll be covering Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I'll be also covering other games like Cyberpunk, Watch Dogs and the rest. Okay, moving to the main meat of the video, first I will discuss the world. Now ideally, what would the ideal Assassin's Creed game of mine be set with? So in my opinion, Assassin's Creed games need to be set in cities and in general urban environments. Now, the upcoming Assassin's Creed Valhalla is set to have some urban spaces, and we will even have an option to use social stealth in these regions, but we haven't seen much of them, so I can't comment on that. But just give the time period that is given to us, like it is set in the Viking era, I'm not expecting the map to have much in terms of verticality. So now, in terms of open worlds, where Assassin's Creed would work the best, I honestly couldn't come up with a better solution for the open world than Assassin's Creed Unity. Like seriously, it has everything. High buildings? Check. Can you travel through rooftops? Check. Population density? Check. Can you jump from rooftop to rooftop? Check. I mean, the street width is not that big that you cannot go from one building to another. And wherever even the streets are wide, they have these ropes connecting the buildings so that you can go from one rooftop to another without having to jump down. Something that was a problem in Syndicate. Seriously, without that problem, I would probably put Syndicate's London in this list instead of Assassin's Creed Unity's Paris. Because in terms of open world, that is a brilliant open world with just this one flaw that we can't always stay in the rooftops without the rope launcher, and I don't like the rope launcher. Moving on. But obviously, yeah, Unity's world had a lot more than I just said. Now, it opened up most of the interiors. I think 85% of the interiors locations of the buildings were open. So you could go through them, and it wasn't just a cutscene like in Assassin's Creed 3 or Assassin's Creed 4 or even Rogue, where you just, go inside a building and it's a cutscene where you come out of the other side. Now here, you can actually explore the building. And you can explore these interior areas, which by the way, there are many interior areas in Assassin's Creed Unity. Now, there was also an underground pathway as well. So there was some interconnecting underground pathways. You could go underground under Notre Dame, and there were many other locations where you could go underground. So if you consider all of that, the map of Unity is actually pretty big. Yes, the landmass is not as big as games like Odyssey or Origins or even the upcoming Valhalla, but you don't need massive open worlds for these kind of games. I mean, just look at the detail packed into this particular interior. I mean, honestly, look at this. It is on the screen right now. Just look at this and tell me how this is any less detailed than the linear games. I mean, linear games can put in these sort of details because the levels are smaller, but this is in the open world. There is no loading screens here. And this is something they achieved back in 2014. That is one of the reasons why this map is the one I chose. Now, a more focused and a non-bloated open world I feel is perfect for an Assassin's Creed game. Like, in fact, I'm not, you know what? Screw the Assassin's Creed games. I'm going to give an example of some other franchises who have done brilliant things with their maps. For example, the Yakuza series. Now, the open world in the Yakuza series is actually very small. It is a very small district in Tokyo. It is supposed to be it is a representation of one of the districts in Tokyo. It is very small. But it is the sheer amount of detail that is in those locations, the interior areas, everything that is in the world just makes it bigger. But it is still focused. It still has quality. And in terms of quality, I would say it is miles ahead of Odyssey. So, you don't need a big, massive open world to tell a story. You just need enough of an open world to tell a story like this. Now, every world needs interactivity, and while Unity's Paris did have social stealth, you don't really have much of an impact on the world. And that is something that has been plaguing Assassin's Creed games right from the first one to Odyssey. There has never been much of an interactivity with the open world. That is something Ubisoft seriously lacks at when they make open worlds. When I say interactivity, I mean something like Red Dead Redemption 2. You look at that game, you look at what that game has achieved in terms of how you interact with the open world. You can interact with any NPC, you can even that is a bit limited, but the open world interactions, the random events that happen throughout the open world, there is just so much variety going on, and the open world itself is crafted in such a way that you actually want to go and explore. Now, in all fairness, in what we have seen so far in Valhalla, this is something we didn't even see in the Odyssey reveal. In Odyssey reveal, all we saw was this is a wild adventure we are going on and all that stuff. But Valhalla showed that how they have actually, made the world more explorable. Now they have removed these annoying markers which tell you exactly what is in a particular location. It is still kind of there, but it is a much better system in my opinion. But obviously the game is not out yet and I am not going to pass judgment on that. But so far in terms of world interactions, what Valhalla seems to be doing is again a good step in the right direction. And I feel kind of Valhalla has some of the bases covered there. So even though it is not a particularly vertical map, the interactivity with the world is slightly better than the previous Assassin's Creed games. And I feel like this is something that Assassin's Creed games should be aspiring for. Now, when I say interactivity with the open world, we obviously saw in the trailer that we were making bread while trying to blend in, and we were already, sitting and eating something, trying to blend in. Now, this is already a huge step up over what we had in any of the previous games, where you just, walk in the crowd, or you maybe go sit in a bench. And I think the best form of interactivity we got was throwing coins into the crowd and the crowd coming in to collect those coins and us getting blended in. Even though we didn't collect any of the coins. So we would stick out like a sore thumb in that situation. But anyway. So it does seem like Assassin's Creed is doing one of the things that I actually want in my ideal Assassin's Creed game. So good on them for doing that. Now, yeah, also there are some puzzles as well in the open world, like even like trying to get inside a house. So yeah, the open world seems okay-ish in Valhalla, but of course we'll have to see. Now, moving on to the second section of this video, we'll be moving on to the parkour. And don't worry about my pronunciation of parkour because I cannot pronounce it properly. I just can't. So just don't pressure me on that. Right, moving on from that. This is obviously a staple of the series. Parkour has been around since the first Assassin's Creed game. It is still there in Origins and Odyssey, even though it is quite possibly one of the worst parkour systems in any game. Like seriously, if a game has done parkour, it has probably done it better than Origins and Odyssey. Now, in defense of these two games, you don't really have much verticality, and parkour is just something that you don't want to invest in all that much, because why would you work so much on a system that is barely going to be used? So in that way, I kind of understand why they had to go this route. So while that being said, even Valhalla's parkour, even though it is slightly more vertical than Origins and Odyssey, it is still the same system, and honestly the animations that I saw, it just didn't give me any confidence. In order to find a perfectly good parkour system, I'll have to go way back to Unity again, because while Syndicate had a good parkour system, and Syndicate did do some things better than Unity, Syndicate did some things really, really bad. So one of them was obviously, the rope launcher that kind of completely broke down your parkour's flow. And the second thing was you can't jump. Why on earth can't you jump? And I seriously don't understand this obsession of Ubisoft games and even some open world games in general not giving us the ability to jump. I mean, is that really that hard to give us the ability to jump? Seriously. I mean, yeah, it does increase the developers' work because now they have to check collisions in many places, because let's be honest, we are gamers, and if you give us the ability to jump, we will obviously try to use that and get into places of the map that aren't supposed to be visited. and they will have to check more, they will have to test more. Yeah, I do understand that, but still, not having a jumping ability in a game that depends on parkour, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, moving on from that. So yeah, obviously I'm taking Unity as the basic blueprint here. It's the basic template that I'll be going forward with. Now obviously Unity had a much slower parkour system. In Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 3, and even in the Ezio trilogy, we were faster. Now, I actually like that. I know a lot of people who don't like that. I mean, there are popular YouTubers like Lasers, Fishy. They both don't like Unity's parkour all that much. But in my opinion, I kind of like Unity's parkour. Now, do I feel like there should be more weight to it? Yes, absolutely, there should. That is something that Syndicate actually did. They kind of added more weight to the jumps, and you just didn't fly through the air. You are not like Batman or something. You are just jumping really far. But that being said, Unity still needs to do some things. So Unity's parkour obviously wasn't perfect. Partly because there were some sections of the map where we could just climb like Spider-Man. We were going up, we used to just press space or press A on the controller and you go up. Now while going up, sometimes the animations are there, but you just don't see anywhere where you could possibly grip with your hand. So because that is happening, it completely ruins the immersion, and it kind of looks like you are Spider-Man who is trying to climb a building with just his hands. And that is why it looks a bit weird. Now, how you could prevent that is, giving some slight changes into the open world in the way you actually move up. So, like in the older Assassin's Creed games, even if you can't directly climb a wall, you usually had platforms halfway through the wall. So essentially you could go fast, you could run up the wall and then jump sideways into that platform. That takes some amount of skill, and that kind of increases your interactivity with the environment as well in terms of parkour. So it kind of blends in really well with the point that I made earlier, the interactivity with the world. So yeah, I think the map needs to be slightly redesigned in a way that would, incorporate these mechanics while moving from one point to other. Right now, parkour in Assassin's Creed, ever since Assassin's Creed 3, it's been like, it's just a tool you use to go from point A to point B. But some touches like this will, make it an actual gameplay system rather than just a convenience that you use to get from one point to the other. And that, in my opinion, is very necessary in a game like Assassin's Creed. And also, if you have a parkour system like that, that means you can design more puzzles, more open world puzzles or more tomb puzzles where you can go into a run with a parkour system and you can solve these puzzles, complex puzzles on your own. You can find the solutions with the mechanics that you currently have. So that would kind of, also enhance the gameplay part of it. So now pretty much everything else in Unity is already in place. It just needs some of these touches to make it from good to great. And when it has a great parkour system, it will fit into my description of, what exactly I want from my Assassin's Creed games. Now, with all of that said and done, these are just two categories. The rest are coming in separate videos because honestly, I don't want to make this an hour long, and this is already 15 minutes and there are many categories to come. Alright guys, do let me down in the comments down below. What do you think? What would your ideal Assassin's Creed game have? What kind of a world do you want? And if you like this video, press the like button. It helps out with the algorithms, I think. Subscribe for more content. There will be a lot more content coming out. There will be Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay, Yakuza Kiwami as well, Yakuza Kiwami 2, and Horizon Zero Dawn when that launches on PC on August 7th. So with all that said, peace.